Riley 1TT Sprite Competition Sports, 22T1750, 1936. From the experience gained with the racing MPHs, Riley went on to produce, in 1935, the next generation of racing Rileys, the TT Sprites. The first four of these cars were in fact built as MPHs in the 44T chassis number series, the other cars of that first batch being numbered in the 22T series. These cars were the immortal AVC-15, AVC-16, AVC-17, AVC-18, AVC-19 and AVC-20. David G. Stiles, as old as the industry, Riley, 1898 to 1969. It is believed that AVC-19 was constructed by Riley using the chassis from the 6-cylinder mph racer, KV9478, chassis number 44T2128. The evidence for this is the fact that the near-side front dome iron shows evidence of the chassis reuse. 22T1750 is stamped on the side, with evidence of 44T2128 stamped on the top. There is also evidence apparently showing where the mph chassis had the brackets for the front axle radius arms removed. The Riley mph racer registered KV9478 was driven by Messrs. Dixon and Paul in the 1934 Le Mans, and by Brackenbury in the 1934 Tourist Trophy. It is said to have been dismantled by the factory in the summer of 1935. Chassis number 22T1750, was registered by Riley in May 1936 as AVC-19, a Coventry mark. It then competed in the 1936 Tourist Trophy driven by von der Beek as number 14, finishing 9th, and would go on to contest the French Grand Prix in 1936 driven by Sibylla and Paul as number 2, finishing 3rd in the up to 2-liter class. Driven by von der Beek at that year's Tourist Trophy as number 22, the Sprite finished 11th. Riley surrendered the logbook on the 16th of March 1937 and the car was sold as a rolling chassis to the Riley agent in France, Outlet C. The Sprite was registered by Udall as 28D6RL and rebodied. Driven by Udall's mechanic, M. Lapchen, who it is believed may have purchased the car later, the Sprite was used as the third car in Udall's team. The Riley was driven by Raoul Forestier in the 1937 Le Mans 24 Hours race, but was retired following an accident just beyond White House involving 6 cars. In the 1937 French Grand Prix the car was again driven by Forestier, finishing 2nd in the Coupe de la Commission Sportive 2-liter class. In the spring of 1938 the car was sold to Pierre Ferry who drove it at Montfleury in 1939 and in the Vrage de Fay Coupe de Paris race on 7th of May 1939, after which the car appears to have remained dormant throughout the war years. Resuming its competition career in September 1945, the Riley was unplaced in the Paris Benoist Cup. In 1948 the car was sold by Ferry to a person unknown. Subsequently the Riley was bought by a Brazilian worker for his son, and while in Brazilian was registered as 430 AU25 and later 430 AU36, when the son moved. In 1957 the car was purchased by someone called Marcel, surname unknown, and again re-registered when it was in the Taux-Erles area of France as 764 BF66. This was the car's registration when Henry Gary, the former Riley Competitions Department and AVC-19 mechanic, found it. After 15 years of negotiations, he eventually succeeded in purchasing the Riley in 1972. Henry removed the heavy steel Pierre Ferry French body and then spent many years working on the car but sadly never finished it. The Riley was passed to his daughter at which point a further 3 years of restoration work commenced, finishing in 2009. In 2018 the vendor was able to acquire the original 1935 body together with many of the competition components for AVC-19 that had been kept by various individuals since they were removed by the Riley Competitions Department prior to the car's sale to the Riley agent in France as a rolling chassis. There then followed a 9-month period of reinstalling these original competition parts, including the fuel tank, front axle, rear axle, lights, etc. combined with the original Pierre Ferry body as spare, AVC-19 may now be considered as one of the most original of the factory Riley TT Sprites still in existence. Retaining its original 4-cylinder engine and having had a recent gearbox overhaul, this historic racing Riley is said to be in as new condition and highly original apart from the addition of a coolant catch tank as required by MSA regulations. AVC-19 is offered with an assortment of spares including its original Pierre Ferry body that it ran at Montfleury in 1939 and in the Vrage de Fait Coupe de Paris race on 7th of May 1939, see image in section 10 of the history file. Photographs on file also show the stamped wooden tail and the original stamped dash both showing 1750. Also included is a substantial history file containing restoration bills, an old-style logbook, relevant historical articles and photographs, old MO certificates, as well as a V5C registration certificate and FIA papers until 2029. Pre-war factory competition cars are rare, and even rarer within period racing history at Le Mans, the French Grand Prix, and RAC Tourist Trophy like this Riley TT Sprite, all of which makes it a car of exceptional historic importance.